So let's start with your questions regarding this exam. Who wants to start? So,
yes, good morning.
good morning.
I have two questions.
Sure.
Yeah, the first one is regarding the how can I say, the organization of the exam this year. You said it is going to be online. I just wanted to know what would be the difference this year comparing to a normal year, I would say, if it would not be online. And the second question is all the English track students are going to pass this exam in English, or do we have the choice to pass it whether in English or in French? And I guess it is an exam which is by sessions. So I wanted to know also if like the English track, if they don't have the choice, is there going to be an early session or well, a different session from the PGE parcours management. Thank you.
Okay. So, okay, there are several things. First, so just hang on to answer your practical question. So your second question, I needed just to check something. So a file. One question was how will it be? How will it take place as it is online? So what happens is that you have a so you receive so it should be in an email. You will receive a time for your exam, but a time where you collect your exam question from the panel convener, and it will be via Teams. So you log on Teams, and the panel convener will call you to give you the exam question, and then you will have half an hour so 30 minutes for preparing, and after 30 minutes you will be invited by the panel convener to join the session, and there you've got 10 minutes to present, 10 minutes questions and answers, then you vacate the room, the panel deliberates, and after this, the convener calls the second candidate to give them their exam question, etc. So this is for the first question. I hope I answered the first, so this question on how it is organized. Next, when you are in English track, now I understood, when you're in English track, an English track student, do you take the exam in French or in English, or can you choose? Supposedly you cannot choose the language in which you're taking the exam. Supposedly, you receive your exam information with the language in which you're taking it. In case of doubt, message Lucie Tellier. I'm just so you probably know her. Message Lucie Tellier to ask her in what language you are registered for this exam. Next question, if I remember correctly, was what about timing, or do English track students take the exam at the same time as other students, or is there a separate session? No, you do take the exam at the same time as other students. Just panels will be either French speakers or English speakers, but it's the same exam for everybody, whichever the language is. And I know there was another question. I know I did not answer it, but I can't remember exactly how you worded it. If you could.
Yeah, it was just about the session. So I guess for everyone, the session would be in April.
Well, for everyone here, yes, yeah. So it is in July only for those students who are on an apprenticeship, who are 3 weeks in business, 1 week at school. Those ones take their exam in July. All others take it in April. So I hope this answers your question.
Yes, yes. So globally, there's two languages, English and French. So, and each, okay. And the language is already chosen for each student.
As far as I understood, yes. And if you have any doubt, contact Lucie Tellier.
Okay.
I've sent her a name in the chat. And in case of doubt, Lucie will tell you in what language you're taking the exam.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Then Frank.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure that we have to follow this lecture today because we have two different informations on our calendar. Don't know if I missed the information, but you sent an email for the 13th of March.
I sent an email, sent emails with 2 dates. Today for English speakers, so everybody understands, which 13th of March for French speakers, but the content will be exactly the same. So answering questions relating to the exam.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Good morning. Can I ask
Good
a question?
morning.
Just 2 questions. The first one,
sure.
During the 13 minutes that we have at disposition, can we access to internet or to information, or is it just based on our knowledge?
So, oh, sorry, go for the second question.
And the second question is just in the video you talked about database with some question. Where is the database available? Thank you.
Okay. First question, supposedly, when we conceived of this new exam, which was meant to be done face to face, you were not allowed to access information. It was on not just on knowledge, on the basis of your current knowledge, but also on the basis of let's say your capability of thinking about a question which you're asked and prepare an answer without being really prepared for that. So supposedly no access to resources. When you're preparing online, of course we cannot control for this, but bear in mind that 30 minutes is very, very short. So if during those 30 minutes you try browsing online, you might waste time and not be able to really prepare something decent for discussion. So to answer your question, supposedly no access to resources, but we cannot control. The second question, I mentioned that a database. The database is not accessible. So that's why there is a video where I suggest a few examples. So 4, if I remember, there were 4 exam question examples. And there was, if I remember, another video on how you can prepare for this exam and how you can devise exam questions by yourself. So just to be clear and to help you with this, and I know it's not exactly your question, but it goes beyond. Every single, so let's say, yeah, normally every single question is posed in such a way that you can answer yes or no. So rather yes or rather not, following preferably the structure I suggest in the video entitled How to Structure a 10-minute Presentation. So when those questions were prepared, what was done was as follows, and that's what you can do to have a, let's say, your own database, if I may say so, or to prepare. we looked at so in various places. We looked at publications from major consultancy firms over the past 2 to 3 years to see what themes, what topics were relevant to them and deserved managerial attention. And based on this, we identified questions that could be pertinent, interesting, and asked them in a way we can answer yes or no. Something similar was done with various professional groups on LinkedIn and their discussions. Also, by reading newspapers, journalist newspapers, specialized newspapers in the business economics pages or sections, you see articles, and based on this, on some articles, given the link to what you might have studied at school, a question was derived which you could answer by yes. So does this answer your question for now? Your questions?
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. But I insist, the exam question database is not available.
Yes, clear.
Okay. Then yeah, anyone else? Yes, please, Jordan.
Jordan, yes. Just have one small question. If I got it right, this exam only accounts for 10% of the overall grade, no?
I'm sorry about this. I'm not sure. This is yeah, I'm not sure. I do not want to say anything wrong. Ask Lucie Tellier. She will tell you something which is the most accurate possible thing. Okay. Where I'm not certain. But okay. One thing is, supposedly, I'm not sure about this year what decision has been made, but supposedly, if you fail this exam, you cannot get your diploma this year. This means if you fail this exam, you need to take it again next year. Supposedly, I mean, when I say supposedly, is when it's not under the current circumstances we know. And I'm not sure what Béatrice Derson told you about this. If you have not had any particular information on this, ask Lucie.
Okay, thank you very much.
I know it was not your question, but this question called for another one.
Thank you.
Then, yes, Zhang. I'm not sure if it's Wei Wei or Zhang, but please do.
Yes, it's Wei Wei. Good morning, sir. I have 4 questions for you. The first one is to be specific about the exam question is we can answer yes and no. And I wonder that the question is one sentence or several sentences, or it is a paragraph or even an article.
Okay, no, it is a question, relatively brief, as the exam questions I gave you on the YouTube channel. It is one brief sentence which calls an answer, which is rather yes or rather not.
Okay, I understand. And the second question is, what does it mean by one tweet for your position? Is it the limitation of 140 words to express your position?
One tweet. Yes. The idea is that when you prepare your answer to the question, it must be clear. So it must be catchy, especially as you only have 10 minutes to present. You do not have any slideshow. So it must be catchy, brief, and with a message. So with a message, you want to make across. This is what I mean by a tweet. So something which is concise, which has the main keywords relating to the question you're asked and the answer you're making, and bearing the idea you want to make across. That's what I was meaning by consider your headings, consider your message as a tweet. So when I say tweet 140 signs, it means something brief. So avoid a message which would be scrambled because it is too lengthy or because there's too much fluff. That's the idea. It's let's say a metaphor. So take this point on tweets as a metaphor to help you be concise, specific, and straight to the point.
Okay, I see. And the third question is, because you mentioned in that video that there are several aspects we need to cover. It's like business, political, and even social. And there are so many aspects we need to. You
do not need to mention. So you do not need to cover all those aspects in your presentation. If those aspects do not naturally come into the discussion, I mean, into the answer to the question you're asked, do not force it. But bear in mind that the panel during the Q&A session could ask you things about the political dimension, the social, the environmental dimension, or something. So you do not need.
I mean, during our preparation, and we need to cover like different aspects. And
so if you saw well, if you saw the other video where I'm explaining how you prepare your presentation in 30 minutes, how you define a position, how you structure your presentation, etc., you will see that no, you do not need to cover everything. It's not descriptive of everything that needs to be said about the topic. No, it is on this question which I'm asked, what is my position? What is my answer clearly? And how do I organize logically and convincingly this answer? And if you remember the videos, and I'm not getting into the contents of those, especially the one on how to structure the 10 minutes, so the 10-minute presentation, how to structure the 10 minutes, each subsection is, and there should be ideally 2 big sections and 2 subsections in each subsection bears one idea, one message, full stop. So you do not need to cover everything or to cover many dimensions. You need to be clear with the point you want to make, and that's important. Of course, the presentation itself in 10 minutes cannot be comprehensive. Therefore, there will be 10 minutes of questions and answers, so the panel can go farther in the discussion based on what you've said, based on things you have decided to leave aside the presentation.
Yeah, I understand what you say. It's like during the test or during the exam, we need to just cover one specific questions. But during our preparation time, we need to cover the questions. For example,
no, you will not have time. You will never have time to do that. You will never have time to do that in 30 minutes. So
I mean, the preparation before the exam day, during like this period of time before the exam day. Like,
yes, but you
have the questions like will the Brexit collapse UK, and you need to be familiar with what the Brexit is and what.
Yes, but you will not have But you will not have your exam question until the exam day. So you have, when you have your exam question, you then have 30 minutes to prepare, and then you present. So the best way of being prepared, if it is your question, the best way of being prepared is really to make sure that everything you've done since you first joined university or gym is well understood. Next, make sure also that you that you are clear with what you've retained and learned from your various work experiences and other things you may have done in student charities, student unions, or overseas. And also read. It's what is very important that you should read regularly newspapers. So newspapers and articles every day. Read 1 or 2 newspapers, not necessarily in detail, not necessarily every article in detail, but at least to see what is being said, what type of questions regularly come, what type of answers are often given, what the discussion is about, etc. This is how you can be familiar with this exam, but you will not be familiar in advance with the exam questions. The exam question will only arrive on the exam day.
Okay. And my last question is, is it possible that we have the example question and answer that fits all your structures and requirements so that
you have, so there is on the YouTube channel, there's a video which is entitled Exam Question Examples. And you can take this to discuss. And also, if you view the record from last year, which is on YouTube as well, the final part, so it lasts nearly 5 hours, but for the final part, if you go straight to the last hour or so, we discuss 4 possible questions.
Okay.
So,
thank you very much.
So yes, this can help you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello. Do you advise to quote articles or other sources in our exposé?
Well, not really. I mean, let's say not really, especially as supposedly you will not have time for that. You will not have time to go through such resources. But if your personal knowledge allows you on a specific topic, on a specific question, allows you to refer to someone else's work, etc., please do. But in 30 minutes preparation, you will not have time to look for references, for specific references. So does this answer your question, Marius?
Yeah, I meant like if we, well, like you said, if we read article beforehand and then we are reminded of that journalist or that economist who said this or that, and so we
you can. Yes, you can mention it. Of course, you can mention it. It's no problem at all. Just bear in mind that preparation time being very limited, you will not be able to bring much new as compared to what you've already seen and already remember. So if you remember something you've read just the day before and that feeds the discussion, yes, you can refer to it, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Then, who else? So no other questions, I'm surprised.
Yeah, good morning. I have a question.
Yeah, so is it Irving? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, it is. Thank you. So I saw the videos last night and I wanted to ask a question about our personal experience. So there is a part where we're supposed to talk or to kind of link our arguments with personal experiences. How can we do that in a way that it is a valid way of expressing this experience, and it is not only expressed as
Okay,
perception.
So no, okay. So there are two things in your question. One is assuming, so if our experience, personal, professional experience, fits with the question and can really feed the discussion, how can we bring it in? And I see another thing, which is if it does, which is the other side of the coin, if it does not fit, how can we speak of our experiences? I'll start with the second part, which is what if it does not fit? If your experience does not really allow you to answer the question or does not fit in answering the question you're asked, do not worry, because the panel will, during the Q&A session, have the opportunity of asking you experience, etc. Then, if it does fit, how can we bring it in? So here there was one video. I hope it's relatively clear. But here you can, in your argument, say, my point is this because blah blah blah. Oh, and by the way, I can witness to this. I saw this when I was doing such and such thing there. Full stop. So does this answer your question, Irving?
So in this case, it will be, we will use our experience as an example.
Yeah, exactly. As part of the example, the idea is that to be convincing. So here, your point must be convincing. We do not need to agree with you, with whatever you say, whichever your position is, but you need to be convincing. And there's nothing more convincing than being oneself involved, in the problem, in the question. If you say, "Oh, here is my answer," and personally, I've experienced this, and this feeds my point, so it makes it more powerful. So, does this answer your question, Irving?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And I have a second question, if you allow.
Sure. Yeah, please do.
Allow me. Okay, so during the presentation, is it a 10-minute presentation without any questions in between? So is it like a monologue, and then we will pass to a Q&A session?
That's it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I would say supposedly it should be this way. I think it will eventually be this way because of the format, the online format. It's more difficult to interject when it's online rather than when it's face-to-face. When it's face-to-face, you always have at times a panel member who cannot help interrupting and asking a question in the middle of the presentation. But supposedly this should not happen. And as it is online, the risk this happens is even less.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Who else?
Good morning. You mentioned the panel several times, so I wanted to ask who are the members of the panel?
Okay, yeah, good question, good point. So the panel will be compressed supposedly of 2 to 4 people, minimum 2, maximum 4, most likely 3. The convener is a permanent staff member from GEM, supposedly an academic staff member, so a prof convening, and you then have as jury members, supposedly at least one person working in a partner company, so a company being a partner to GEM. So practitioners coming to see how you are doing when you are about to graduate, and you can have also some admin staff from the Chamber of Commerce and from GEM. Does this answer your question, Marcel?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. But of course, as the online format is occurring for the first time, of course, as we are not just GEM, but let's say the world in the biggest uncertainty ever, we have no idea just yet how responsive external people will be. So I cannot tell you how many of them will eventually join and how much how your panel will eventually look. But the principle is this. Who else?
Hi, sir. I also have one more question.
Sure, please do.
I imagine the worst question, the worst situation, because we are taking the online exam. What if the Wi-Fi is crashed and we are not connected with the panel, and where are we going to deal with it?
I'm not sure. So honestly, I'm not sure. This is a question you should ask Lucie Tellier. And if she cannot answer straight ahead, at least she will transfer this question to Béatrice Nerson, who can then tell you what is happening, or how things should go in case of a technical problem.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I cannot answer. Who else? Who wants to be next? So do you think everything is clear enough to everybody, or do you still have more questions, even questions you might not dare to ask, or whatever? My concern for today is really that you leave from this session as clear as possible as to what this exam is about and how it is going to be run. So really, if you still have questions, do not hesitate to ask them today.
Just a question. Do the subjects are just picked randomly, or do they just take a consideration of what we've studied? Because, for example, I'm in a dual degree, so it's
okay. Supposedly, questions are allocated randomly, and supposedly those questions are generalist questions that could be handled by anybody. So there is no technical question. In the past, there could have been questions such as, are convertible bonds under this specific tax law the future of finance? So ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous, useless. So you will not have such questions. So irrespective of your background, irrespective of your specialism, you should be able to answer nearly every question. So does this answer your question, Marcel?
Yeah, okay, it's perfect. It was it's what I understood in the video.
Okay, okay. It was Oscar asking the question, sorry.
Yeah, I got a second question. So
sure.
Is it exam with real grade, or is it just pass or fail?
There would be a mark. It will be marked.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. And then with the mark, the mark, if you pass, the mark will contribute to your ranking and final distinction for those who are on the dean's list.
Teacher?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, please, when are we going to have the exact day of our session, our exam?
When exactly, I'm not sure, but Lucie Tellier will send you, so you will receive, each of you will receive an email with the dates for that week where you've got your other exams, your foreign language exam, TOEIC, and this one. I'm not sure when exactly it's happening. You can ask Lucie for this, for when to expect it, but it will be, of course, prior. It will be before it happens, but I'm not sure when exactly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry. There are quite a few technical questions, very technical questions I cannot answer because they're not really my day-to-day activity and do not match my own constraints. So there are things where I'm not sure, and I prefer then refer to the right person rather than saying something which would not be accurate. Who else? Other questions? No questions? So I had planned 2 hours in case there were many questions, but if you consider, or when you consider all the questions you might have had prior to joining this morning have been answered, then we can finish. If you still have questions, we have heaps of time ahead of us. If you think all your questions are answered, we can finish. So it's really up to you. I mean, if all questions are answered, there is no reason for you to stay for another hour and 15 minutes. But like I said, if you still have some, please feel free to ask. No more questions? Well, like I said, if you have no more questions, really, we can finish here. So I'm staying until the last person has left. So it's now up to you.
I have no more questions. Goodbye.
Sure.
Have a nice weekend.
Okay, thank you. You too. I'm just checking the chat at the same time on a different screen. No questions on the chat.
Yeah, same for me. You answered all my questions, so thank you.
You're welcome. So like I said, I'm staying until the last person has left, just to make sure that there will be no questions left unanswered.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So thank you. I wish all of you a beautiful weekend, and good luck with your preparation and with the exam itself.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye. Yeah, have a nice weekend. And like I said, good luck. Oh, sorry. I just realized, Gia, you probably had a question. You raised your hand. Gia is no longer with us. Oops. You're welcome. Bye. So there are still 4 who are staying here. Does it mean you still have questions that answered? And if yes, feel free to ask them. Yes, please do. Please go for your question, Mohammed. So either in the chat or with your microphone, as you prefer. Yeah, Mohammed, if you have a question, go for it. Okay. For English track students, is it possible to pass the oral in English when we are in I3 Fringe? I don't think so, but like I said early on, you should ask Lucie Tellier in what language you are taking the exam. It is preset for you. You cannot choose. So does this answer your question? Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions? So for the 6 of you who are still here. So still 5 of you. Any more questions? So I've got the impression there are no questions left. So Amandine, you've just joined. Maybe you have questions that have not been answered on the YouTube channel yet. If such is the case, please feel free to ask them.
No, it's okay for now. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, like I said several times already, if you have no more questions, then you can leave, as others have done so far. It's really no problem. And if you still have other questions, I'm still here. But I think it would be a bit frustrating for everybody that we stay just for the sake of staying without having questions or answers. So, I mean, if you have no more questions at all, please leave so I see who can still have some stuff to discuss, knowing that the session is recorded and hopefully the record will work well, and knowing that everybody supposedly should have access to the whole discussion. When does the French class start? It is on the 13th of March, so on a Saturday in a fortnight time, and it will be at 9. It will be at 9. It will be exactly the same format as this morning, but in French. I hope this was the question. Yep, okay. Yingqin, Paul, Mohammed, other questions? I've got the impression you've got none. Just do not want to close the conversation without being sure that you have no more questions. So, have a good week, and you'll be back if you want in a fortnight time. You're more than welcome. But like I said, it will be exactly the same format as today, just the language is different. So if you want to join because you've got more questions, you're more than welcome to do that. But if you have no more questions by then, you do not have to. And thank you. I wish you a nice weekend too. Right, Yingxin, Paul, you're still here, and I do not know if it is accidental or if you are still here because there are things you would like to discuss, because you've got questions. Right. So I'm staying until more questions arise, hoping there might be some. But if at 10, in 6 minutes time, there are no more questions from any of the two of you, then I'll finish the recording and I'll close the session. So if you have questions, please go for them. And of course, if you have questions and if it lasts beyond 10 o'clock, it is no problem. But if you have no questions, I would kindly ask you to leave so it really means questions have all been answered. Well, what I'll do, I'll stop the recording for now, and if more questions arise until 10, then I will restart the recording as questions come again.